Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Riderpiece Theater. Me, Alistair, Dayhawk, and tonight, me proud to present Kamen Rider Gacha episode 44. And in this episode, this story is all about Kaijiki and Hijiri's relationship in the toilet. Apparently, they broke up. Why, you may ask? Well, it has something to do with the so-called memory wipe, which I said this loosely because in this episode, it's discovered that what Miruto Sensei has been doing for the past year wasn't a memory wipe, but it's more about sealing their memories of a certain event. And that's the way, I can explain it better, because how else can I explain it other than Miruto Sensei's, memory trick with his Ring of Power is all about sealing the memory rather than erasing a certain event. Well, before I get any further, just let us start with the first scene, shall we? So, Gaelijah is talking to herself while looking at this viewing globe, and she is talking about, my fellow kinsman has been going after Hotaro, and look where it got them. Gigisto has been dethroned. Germain is pretty much became Master Greyon due to their obsessions in trying to get Hotaro's half of the stone. They got their ass whooped, while she is like, my time will come. It's just now is not necessary the time, but I will strategize my time. And to her, thanks to her fellow kinsmen's incompetence and obsession, they are considered to be disqualified in capturing the throne. Because remember, even though they're fellow Abyss Alice kings, they're all going after one throne, and they're willing to backstab the other in order to obtain power. We've seen this before. And then we have Master Greyon, who shows up out of nowhere, and he is just like, how you say, so are you gonna also go in that path like your fellow kingsmen trying to go after Hotaro? And Gaelijah is like, no, not really. I'm gonna go at this some other way since I have the gift of foresight. So according to her, she can see into the future. And don't you think that sort of power is considered to be OP? But then again, we've seen people who have powers of seeing into the future, and yet they still get defeated by the main character that somehow, some way changes the future. Because as we all know, the future is not necessarily set in stone, because it can always be changed. And so the two, Gaelijah and Greyon, are like, flexing their muscles, if you will, because Greyon is preparing an army and pretty much wants to turn the world into gold land, while Gaelijah has her own vision for the future and for the world. So they're like, okay, are you seriously gonna think that your gold land is gonna be successful? And Gaelijah's like, I don't think so. I think my ideal world will be successful, especially when I can read the stars. And Greyon's like, I don't believe in reading the stars. all what I'm doing right now is mustering an army, and with them, I will have my gold land. So yeah, so it's just becoming, Gaelijah versus Grayon, but of course, there's Gigisto, which he's not in this episode. So as of right now, he is in the character closet with Mama-san and Fuga. So at least those two are keeping company in that closet. So we move on from there to the alchemy school that only has 4 students and 1 lousy teacher. Hotaro comes in late, and this scene is all about Professor Kyoka and her experiment on Weird Sister number 2. The way she calls it, it's the humanization project. And we see pictures of the kids with number 2 at a summer festival. And the experiment is all about, okay, let's see if number 2 can get some sort of emotion other than any emotion. And for the most part, we see in the third picture, she is smiling. So she is experiencing joy. And so at the same time, you see Hotaro noticing something about Kaijiki, which apparently he was, with Hotaro's friends. And I didn't even see Hotaro or Kuro in those pictures. We only see Renge and Sabi, and this weird. And the second photo, I just realized that Sabi has his tablet wear a mask, an Oni mask, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Anyways, that's something that I've noticed. And Hotaro noticed that Kaijiki's expression tend to change from one picture to another until he reached the third picture that he is pretty much depressed. And he doesn't know why yet. And so Kyoka explains that they're gonna move forward with a new experiment where apparently the experiment is gonna be in 2 parts. The transmutation of living tissue, that's according to Professor Kyoka, which involves Fuga. Because according to Professor Kyoka, Fuga is the only one available who knows about ancient and forbidden alchemy, and she needs that in order to do the experiment. Now, she mentions Fuga. Where the hell is Fuga? They rescued him from the Abyss Alice Kings, and since then, he's nowhere to be found. There was no mention that, hey, is he still in the school recuperating? Is he better now? And even if he is better, how come he's not present in the school, or at least in the classroom? Because like I said in my previous videos, he's supposed to be one of the top alchemists in all of Japan, right? So why not use him as a mentor? He doesn't need to fight unless he wants to, right? But he doesn't necessarily need to transform into Kamen Rider Win unless it's absolutely necessary. He could just wander around in the classroom and just, have the students, Minoru Sensei, Spanier, Kyoka, just pick his brain out and help out around the classroom. But he's nowhere to be found. So I'm like, what the hell? But in any case, Kyoka needs Fuga's wisdom in terms of, okay, forbidden magic. Can you help us out with the experiment? But she doesn't want to bother him, so she sends Kuro to send the necessary items needed to perform the experiment. And then, speaking of Kudo, you see Kudo walking back from wherever she came from with the items in question. Then all of a sudden you see an in-range weird sister number 3, who she is really desperate in getting number 2, her sister, back. And she is all berserk, she's all beast mode, and we briefly see, those two fighting. And Kudo mentions something to weird sister number 3 that she doesn't want to come back because look at what you have become. Like, you seriously want your sister to look at you. She, like, now it seems like number 2 is opening up her problems, her issues to someone like Kudo, because why else would she know that, hey, your sister doesn't want to come back to you, especially because look at you. You've become a raging, uncontrollable beast. She doesn't want to come back to that. and especially to another sister who pretty much branded her a traitor. And if she sees her again, that's it. She's done. She's going to be dead. So why would she come back to that? And especially, just to top that, Master Greyon has officially returned. Weird Sister number 2 is really scared of Master Greyon. So, do you seriously gonna believe that number 2 is gonna drop everything and turn to the dark side and join forces with Master Greyon and have the sisters reunite? Are you kidding me? And she's changed a lot, and I don't think she wants to come back. That's all. I mean, I'm just saying because it's the truth. Anyways, number 3 doesn't want to hear what Kudo had to say or refuse to believe the truth. We see them fight, and then all of a sudden, Gaelijah breaks the fight up and decides to take number 3 away with her, while you have weird sister number 1, who's been played by a 10-year-old, just looking like overseeing everything, and she just leaves. And Kudo, picks up her stuff and goes back to the alchemy school. So we move on from that to, back to the school that only has 4 students and 1 lousy teacher. We go to part 2 of the experiment, which is the memories of number 2's model. And I was confused as I was writing notes of what does Kyoka mean by model. And already I'm getting Kingdom Hearts 3, where you see these dummies that eventually will inhabit the souls of people like Roxas, especially, and Namine. And that's why I was like, is that what Kyoka is planning to do? Is to take number 2's essence and put it in some kind of model or doll? But that kind of defeats the purpose, don't you think? Because she's already a doll. So how does transferring from one model for a doll or golem, whatever, into this new model or doll, whatever it is, like what's the difference here? But anyways, she wants to do that, and according to Kyoka, there's like human essence inside of her. So what they're gonna do is tap into those memories and within to affect her biomatter, and that will take her closer to becoming human. That's the plan. And yeah, guys, even I was trying to decipher what Kyoka was planning to do. And the closest I was getting at is, like I mentioned earlier, is this going to be Kingdom Hearts 3 all over again with Roxas and Namine getting a dummy body? I mean, yeah. Yeah, it doesn't make sense when number 2 is a doll, according to her. But anyways, and so all they need to do is unseal her memories. That's the plan. And this is where we get this reveal that what Minato Sensei had been doing for the past year, when, every time, the riders do their thing, capture the card, whatnot, here comes Minato Sensei coming in to clean up the mess. And what I mean by that is, doing the Ring of Power thing and wiping people's memories of the certain event that happened. Here I thought, and I'm assuming you, the audience, thought the same thing, that Minato Sensei was wiping out the memories of a certain event. According to Minato Sensei, it's been revealed that it's not really the case at all. It was more about like sealing or locking those memories away within the brain. It's not about wiping the memories away. It's more like locking them, like sealing them up. That's the best way I can describe it. And I'm like, are you serious, Minato Sensei? I know I know you had to say it in the script, but I'm like, why? I mean, I was much better off of you and the other alchemists just wiping the memories off, slate clean, and that's it. Because like I mentioned before, because this is a Kaijiki episode, that it will come a time where Kaijiki is going to get immune to this spell that wiping his memories will not work. But it turns out that I'm getting way ahead of myself here, but I'm just saying for now that what Minato Sensei had been doing for the past close to a year is it's been locking this certain memory away and not wiping them out. So there's a possibility that those memories can come back, which hinted Hotaro like, wait a minute, is that true? And that's where Hotaro was like, I need to go talk to Kaijiki about something, because he started to realize that, wait, something is not right with my best friend here. We need to talk. Like, he knows that the moment that Minato Sensei said that there's a possibility that memories can come back, that's when, because remember, in the early episodes of Gacha, remember, Hotaro and his class went on a field trip to Kyoto, and there Kaijiki met his eventual, partner in Hijiri, and because they share, almost everything in common. But then the Melgheim attack happened, and Minato Sensei, after everything was said and done, he had to do, the thing. And unfortunately for them, they can't be together, as they became strangers to each other, even though, the magazine Kaijiki gave to Hijiri kind of sparked something. And there was one episode that Kaijiki mentioned her, that they were talking, they were dating, but now, they broke up, which I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but whatever. So Hotaro decides to just quickly run off from the school while Renge and Sabi were like, what the hell is going on? So we move on to number 3, and Gaelijah, and of course number 3 wants her sister back, and Gaelijah is offering, hey, I will grant you your wish, just as long as you join me. And so in the process, Gaelijah ends up stripping the powers that both Gigisto and Jermaine bestow upon her. So I think she can no longer turn into her berserk form. And that kind of stresses her out because she's always been in pain. She can't control herself sometimes. And now that she is stripped from that power, she feels relief. It's almost as if she was wearing the dread driver, because if you remember that nasty side effect that became non-existent, that the longer the person is dread, the more painful it is, because they can't handle the power, according to Midoro Sensei. So Gaelijah is offering number 3, hey, if you join me, I will grant you your wish. And of course, she is willing to join her. And then you have Weird Sister number 1, who's been played by a 10-year-old, just pops out of nowhere and just asks, okay, what is your plans with her? What is going on? And Gaelijah's like, not saying anything, but at the same time, it's like, well, I'm planning something. If you want to join us, you're more than welcome to join us. And number 1 just walks away, because obviously she's not going to betray Master Greyon after everything she's been trying to do since the Abyss Alice Kings showed up. She's been pleading with them to, hey, can we just bring back Master Greyon because he can help? But all of them, for the most part, said no. So do you seriously think she's gonna backstab Master Greyon after everything? No. So we move on from that to Kaijiki. And he sees a picture of Hijiri, and Hotaro shows up, and he's concerned about Kaijiki, like, are you okay? You know, you've been not happy for the past few days. What's going on? So at least Hotaro is becoming a friend, because when is the last time that Hotaro and Kaijiki been like when is the last time they've been together? Not that long, but I'm just like, well, to be fair to Hotaro, he's been dealing with a lot, and he's been busy. So I understand that he, you know, can't, you know, check up on him, but you could always text and call. But then again, none of my friends does that too, but whatever. Anyways, so we witnessed the Kaijiki meltdown. And we move on to poor Hijiri, and she tries to visit her brother in jail, but unfortunately she is given a letter from her brother saying that you need to move on. Like, I've changed since after what happened, but it's best for you to walk away from me and move on with your life, which made her sad. You know, like, I get what the brother's coming from, but at the same time I kind of feel for Hijiri. It's like, why are you saying this to me? Why are you like pushing me away? So he does the whole forget about me thing, and then we move to the Kaijiki meltdown at the Ichinose kitchen restaurant, which once again, Mama-san is nowhere to be found. Either she is at the other side of town getting more groceries, or like I mentioned in my intro, that she could be in the character closet with Gigisto and Fuga for all I know. But she's nowhere to be found. And you know, Kaijiki is having this meltdown. He shows a text message from Hijiri that apparently Kaijiki wanted Hijiri to come to the summer festival, but he ended up getting this weird text message saying, to sum it all up, like she is breaking up with him, which causes the meltdown. And he's crying, and Hotaru's like, how can I help you if you keep on crying? And then Renge almost spilled the beans. Like, is it possible that, with everything, with the brother and why not? And Kaijiki is like, what brother? Her brother, what's going on? And Sabi and I think Hotaru too was like, shut up. And if you mention any of what happened in the past, he's going to get his memories back. And to make matters even worse, I mean, here comes our mini blue dragon with partner in crime, Hopper 1, just pops out and just jumps onto the table in front of Kaijiki and it's like, whoa, what's going on? And then Hoto's like, what the hell? Like, no, you cannot be here. And Kaijiki is like, wait a minute, I remember seeing you somewhere. And you see flashbacks coming back, and you see like poor Kaijiki as he's getting his memories back. He's like in pain, he's holding his head, and he is going berserk. And he just he just tries to run away, like try to escape from the restaurant. And then here's the weird part. As Kaijiki tries to escape, here comes Midoro Sensei out of nowhere and does the thing. And you see poor Kaijiki be like, ugh, and then that's it. So my question for you guys is, how in the hell did Midoro Sensei, like, why is he even there? Like, what's going on? Like, did somebody call Midoro Sensei, or Midoro Sensei, like, had a mission for the kids and he decided to visit the restaurant or something? I'm just confused. Like, Midoro Sensei, why are you here? Like, damn, man. I don't know. I was like, Midoro Sensei, why did he show up? Like, what? Yeah, so Midoro Sensei does the thing, and poor Kaijiki gets his memories not erased, but sealed up again. So we move on to Weird Sister number 3, and reports to Gaelijah that the mission has been completed, that she broke an old enemy from prison, and Gaelijah turns him into a Amalgam without the need of a Kemi. So apparently this old enemy is back in the earlier days of Gachard, and back when Hotaru assumed that Spanner had the hots for Kuro, which later on was proven not to be the case. The only reason that he was super nice to Kuro is because he is trying to get information out of her about her father and all that. But obviously Kuro does not know at the time what happened to her father and all that stuff. But So we move on from there to Weird Sister number 1, who reports back to Master Greyon and telling him Gaelijah is doing something with my sister. Are you gonna do something about it? And Master Greyon is like, I'm not gonna do anything. Let's just use this time to have this father and daughter bonding moment. And you see the Dread soldiers, he's assembling his army, and that's pretty much it. But if you notice that Weird Sister number 1 is developing emotions, because she is more concerned about number 3 and her joining, Gaelijah. It's like, are you going to do something, Master? Because I don't know what's going on. Are you going to do something? And Graham was like, is there something bothering you? And of course, number 1 says no, but clearly something is bothering her. But she says no, and they have their father-daughter bonding moment. So we move on to from there to back to the alchemy school that only has 4 students and 1 lousy teacher. And this is where we get the realization that, according to Minato Sensei, he cannot keep this up. Because if he keeps this the thing, because we all know what the thing is, Kaijiki's mind may not handle another one. And let's be honest, he's a magnet. He's always at the wrong place at the wrong time. And he can't help himself. And like I told you guys before, it would be so funny if Minato Sensei did the thing and it just no longer affects Kaijiki because he's accustomed to it. He's immune to it. He can no longer get his memories erased. But in this case, Minato Sensei is like, I don't think I can do it anymore, or anybody else, because if we keep doing what we are doing with Kaijiki, I don't know how his mind is gonna handle it, and it's too dangerous. And this is where Hotoro's like, okay, if that's the case, just give him his memories back. Just give him his memories back. That way, he can deal with his girlfriend and try to fix things. Because what's keeping them apart is the fact that they can't remember what happened in Kyoto during the whole Melgheim thing, and Kaijiki saving her and falling in love. And it's just, yeah, and it's true. And Hotoro's like, just give him his memories back. Once his memories are back, we're gonna tell him the truth and just say, look, this is top secret. You're not allowed to say anything about the existence of this school, what we do, just alchemy as a whole. You have to keep it a secret. And I'm sure Kaijiki will make that promise to Kotaro and his friends, because I assume Kaijiki is also friends with Renge, Kudo, and Sabi, and swear to them, okay, I will keep this secret, and I'm not going to tell anybody about all of this. I'm sure Kaijiki will, but again, with Minato Sensei and Spanner, like, are you sure he's going to keep his word? And, he's not going to blab. But let's be honest, even if he does talk, are people seriously going to believe him? I don't think so. And yet, you have Hopper 1 having its adventures fighting a flower, and no human has ever pointed out, hey, what a weird-looking grasshopper. Okay. So Hotaro is saying, hey, just give him his memories back. But Kudo, and especially Spanner, that enters the fray, is like, that's breaking the rules here. And Spanner adds, we cannot bend the rules for our own personal gain. It's just too dangerous. And this is where the conversation, it went from, well, before I get ahead of myself here, Spanner suggested, why not just erase his memories? Just erase them. But Minato Sensei says that even if I were to consider erasing his memories completely, that's also too dangerous, because you never know. Because the plan is to erase the Chemies events. That's it. Chemies, Melgheims, Kamen Riders, the identity, everything needs to be erased. But what Spanner's asking is too risky, because what happens if all of his memories get erased, and what then? I believe that's irreversible. And this is where the conversation was like turned from memory wiping to Hotaro versus Spanner with the whole, why are you being so cold? You're anti-Chemi and human living together while he is pro, and and all that stuff. And Spanner's like, look what happened at the laboratory and how dangerous it is. And I stand with my beliefs. You're not going to change me. And he just turn his back on Hotaro and says, look, Professor Kyoka needs me right now, so I'm leaving. So drop the subject. You're not going to change me. Goodbye. And I was like, why did it turn from that to, pro versus anti Kemi? And I'm like, Hotaro, like, this is not the right time for you to go at Spanner for the whole the pro humanity and Kemi living together thing. What you could have done is just say, hey, you're talking about my best friend's brain here, okay? What you're suggesting is too risky. Just give him his memories back and I will handle the problem. But Spanner is like, no, because this is just personal gain and this goes against the rules. That should be the argument, but it wasn't the case anyways. It just went back to, oh, okay, so you're anti-humans and Kemi's coexisting, and why are you so cold, and blah, 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 blah. Miroto-sensei, as Spanner leaves, like, says, you're not wrong. Both of you are not wrong. It's just, this is just like a rocky conversation. This is just, you're both right, but this is how complicated this problem is. And he's right. I mean, and it's just, I don't see Spanner really changing his ways. He's more like of a Fua, where he's like anti-human gear, but eventually he will come around. Spanner, I believe it's the same way, but I'll be really surprised by the end of it that Spanner is gonna be pro Kemi's living with humans, blah blah blah. But whatever, right? But Hotaro, I wish your argument was more of, hey, I'm defending my best friend here. It's better to give his memories back, because I'd rather have his memories back than have them erased and have permanent damage. Makes sense. So we move on to the argument. So we get warnings on the screen. So danger is pretty much happening right now, and we get back to Kyoto with Hijiri, and unfortunately for her, she was forced to quit. And she did it on her own. Nobody actually forced her to quit, but she felt like she had no choice but to quit her job, because there is, stuff on social media that her brother is in prison, and that causes her to feel uncomfortable. The other co-workers feel uncomfortable around her because, her brother has done crimes and just doesn't want to deal with that. And she gave her letter of resignation to her boss, even though her boss was like, I'm sure you didn't want to do this. Like, are you sure you want to do this? And she said, like, look, I don't want to make people uncomfortable around me. I think it's best for me to leave. And that's it. And we see her about to throw away the magazine that Kaijiki gave her in the earlier episodes. And then you see her memories coming back, and which causes her to be like, what are these memories? Like, I feel like there's something, but I don't know what it is yet. And she leaves. So we move on from Kyoto to back to Tokyo, and we see Hotaro and Kuro, and you see Amalgam from the past, and then you see Weird Sister number 3 with the golem, and of course Kuro and Hoto were surprised to see this old Melgaim, and Hoto was like, wait a minute, check to see if we have this card, because I'm like, what is going on? And Kuro confirms that, no, yeah, I have it. So number 3 explains that people who used to be Melgaims can become Melgaims again, because the chemis that possess the humans have, like, I would say, a footprint, like a piece of their power within them. And thanks to Jehelia's power, they can revert back to Melgaims without the need of a chemi. So old enemies can turn into old Melgaims, which is going to be very dangerous. And so they fight. It's gonna, and Weird Sister number 3 doesn't get involved, mind you. She just, this time she's away from the fight. And Hotaro even mentions, like, wait a minute, what's going on here? You've changed. Like, this is not you. And of course, number 3 is like, who in the hell do you think you are? You don't know me. So we get into the fight. So it ended up being a 2-on-2 match between the Golem and Old Melgaim versus Kuro and Hotaro. And during the fight, speaking of wrong place at the wrong time, here comes Kaijiki in depressed mode, and Kotaro looks at Kaijiki. I'm like, oh my god, he is here. So, I mean, he needs to get away because if he looks at them, that's it. It's over. His memories will come flushing back after, Miroto Sensei did the thing, and it's too late. The moment he turned around, he saw Kamen Riders, he saw a Melgaim, he saw a Golem, and that's when his memories once again are unsealed. Poor Kaijiki is holding his head with so much memories coming back. It's a splitting headache to the point where he just faints. He faints. And long story short, long battle short, we get to see an underwater fight between the old Melgaim, mind you, and the two versions of Hotaro or Gacha with Rainbow, and of course an old form from the past. They're swimming underwater, or in this case under sand, because they were fighting in a park. And you see all these cheap CGIs and all that stuff. I mean, whatever. While Kuro was dealing with the Golem. And so they both destroyed the Golem and the Melgaim, and the prisoner is back in jail. And all is good. All is good, all is well, right? Well, not really. Not really. Because after the battle ends, number 3 gives out an ominous message about an old terror and whatnot. And then all of a sudden, here comes Miroto Sensei yet again. Because, again, during the fight, the Melgaim trapped a couple of girls in the park. And, of course, Miroto Sensei's job is to come in and do a cleanup and make sure everybody's okay before he does the thing with his ring of power. And then, of course, I'm sure he did the thing with the girls, and then he sees Kaijiki on the ground, and Hotaro is worried and concerned that Miroto Sensei, are you gonna do the thing after what you said? And luckily Miroto Sensei didn't do the thing, because can you imagine him doing the thing after what he said, that it could be dangerous? Yeah, so we move on from there to Weird Sister number 2. So Professor Kyoka was about to perform the experiment, and you see a chair, and you see this weird looking mini statue. And you see Kyoka at the keyboard, and you see number 2, and she is scared. She is scared, and that her model, because according to Kyoka, apparently her number 2's image is it's like it was a copy of a real human, according to her. And this reminds me a whole lot of Drive with the was it the human, not the human gears, the what's the monster's name? I forgot. But if you guys seen Drive, then you guys definitely know what I'm talking about. This is Drive all over again, where you have brain, heart, medic. There were nothing more than copies. Their images were copies of the original people. And I'm certain that this is the same thing here, or what's going to happen here. And she is scared because once her memories return, she's probably not going to like the person that she will become or something, according to her. And she even admits that after everything I'd done, could the model or the real person be the same way as a bad person? And here comes Spanner, who just said, look, at least you're being honest with yourself, and that alone, grants respect, and it's just, I mean, that's something, like, I'm surprised that Spanner said that, because, he had issues, especially with number 2, calling him a puppy dog and whatnot. But you can tell that number 2 is starting to have a little bit towards an affection towards him. Spanner is a little bit difficult to read right now, but at least he says, like, look, at least, you're being honest with yourself, and that commands respect. And that's hard to get respect from Spanner, because he's always cold, according to Hotaro, and he's always losing in his fights. Anyways, Kyoka at the end of this scene was like, look, I understand, and the choice is yours. I'm not going to force you to do it. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. But if you want to do it, there you go. And it just leaves number 2 like really thinking about what she's going to do. And I have to say, I mean, I'll be scared if I were her, because I'll be like, I don't know what's going to happen to me. I mean, at least these people are doing everything within their power to make me feel like a human, and it's something to consider. But at the end of the day, am I going to lose myself? Am I going to be the same person, or am I going to be human? It's just all these questions pop up, and it's within reason, and I don't blame her for being scared. I'll be scared too, but that's just me. So we move on to number 2, just pondering if she wants to make this choice or not. You move on to Kaijiki. He is officially in the alchemy school that only has 4 students and 1 lousy teacher. He wakes up and he's like, where am I? What's going on here? And this is where Hotaro briefly tells him, like, hey, this is the alchemy school where, we fight with chemis, and this is where we learn alchemy. And here comes the chemis. They pop out of nowhere with the lousy CGI. And Kaijiki's like, what is going on? And of course, Hotaro reveals that, hey, I was the Kamen writer for nearly a year now. And Kaijiki's like, what? You're a Kamen writer? And, all these things are like shock and all that stuff. And so you see the chemis popping out, and you see poor Kaijiki getting more of his memories back, and you can tell that this poor kid is in pain because all these memories keep rushing back. And to make matters even worse is Kaijiki gets a message from Hijiri saying that, hey, I'm here in Tokyo. And Hotaro reveals to Kaijiki that, hey, you've been, like, your memories have been sealed from what happened with you and Hijiri in Kyoto. And I strongly believe that the reason why you two broke up is because of the memory block. And then we move on to the more bad news that Hijiri has decided to meet with him, Kaijiki, mind you, to Tokyo. And so Kaijiki was like, okay, I need to talk to her. I need to go see her, and I need to talk to her. But before that, of course, Minoru Sensei just stops Kaijiki and tells him, like, hey, look, number 3 is going after people who became amalgams, and she is one of them. And there's a strong possibility that she is going to be hunted down and taken. And Kaijiki was like, look, I understand the danger, but right now I need to go see her. And it's understandable. It's like, it doesn't matter, because Minoru Sensei mentioned that she is one of those people that became amalgam, and number 3 may be gunning for her. So either way, the heroes need to go rescue her. So Minoru Sensei gives Kaijiki the terrible news. And then, and also just to add, he also tells his students that, hey, another prisoner has broke from prison, and it's the same person from Kyoto. So these 2 people who broke out of prison are the same people that shown up in the Kyoto episode. So they're coming back. In this case, we have the tree amalgam. And so our heroes, including Kaijiki, are out there in the city trying to find Hijiri, but unfortunately for them, the enemy found her first, and you see her, at knife point, mind you, as a hostage. And then you see poor Kaijiki feeling helpless and just stood there, while you see Hotaro and Kuro just running towards, the enemy and Hijiri, and you see them transform at the same time. And I kind of feel for Kaijiki, because I'm sure he's like, I wish I was a Kamen Rider too, and I'll be able to help out and save Hijiri. But in this case, he feels helpless and just watching as he sees his friends trying to save her from the knife and all that. So that's it, guys. That's the end of episode 44. Give me your thoughts and opinions on this episode. Did you watch it? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? And if so, what would you change? And even though I have my notes in front of me, which I do apologize with the pauses, but I just wanted to make sure that everything is in order. But in case I missed something, write in the comments below. And I just want to add a couple of things before I go. And I know this video is already long, but bear with me. I have questions. Like, for instance, again, where the hell is Fuga? Of course, Kyoka mentioned him by name, but like, where the hell is he at? Again, he should be out and about in the school, in the classroom, helping out. And if he's able to transform, do that as well. Help your daughter out, because, hey, Grayon has returned. So we need all the help that we can get. And yet, he's nowhere to be found, and there's no explanation if he's still healing or he's better. We don't know anything. And then we move on from there to, once again, guys, I know this is a broken record, but we're close to the finale, and yet there's still no signs, Easter eggs, clues, or anything involving Who in the hell is Hotaro's father? Why the mystery? Where is he at? Who the hell is he? Why is he so important that his face gets covered up? Seriously, you're like 6 episodes away. Why is there any, okay. Okay. And then, just to finish it with a cherry on top, what's going on with the Philosopher's Stone? Why make it so important when it's not? Because according to Fuga, it's apparently, a stone that with immense power, right? And we all know that Grayon and the other 2 kings have a piece of it. Don't you think the heroes will be like, okay, how are we going to get these pieces? And more importantly, how can we kill them? Because Gigisto was supposedly dead, but we all saw him get revived. Germain, again, with the combined powers of the 3 Kamen Riders, they still cannot kill him. Instead, he got turned into Master Grayon. It's just all these things that the heroes need to know before heading into battle with one of the kings and Master Grayon, right? Like, this is why Fuga is so important, because he may know the weaknesses of these kings or something. I don't know. The Philosopher's Stone so far is it's not even important, so why even mention it? That's what I've been thinking prior to making this video, because I'm like, what's so important about this stone again? Because the heroes are not making much of a fuss about it. It's like, oh, okay, it's just there. And Gaelijah's like, well, these 2 idiots that considered to be Abyss Alex kings, their ass got whooped because they were going after Hotaro. And it's just because they're too obsessed over getting the piece of the stone that it led them to their undoing. And Gaelijah's like, well, I'm not going to be like them. If I want to get the stone, I'm going to do it my way. And right now, the stone, as of right now, is not my top priority. At least, that's the way I got the see from. Like, she's not interested in the stone right now. And Grayon is doing an army, so he can care less about the stone. So what's the point about the stone? If this stone is so powerful, so great, don't you think that Master Grayon will have an interest in the stone? Especially when he has a piece of it? Ultimately, Master Grayon will get the stone whole somehow, some way, because I strongly believe he's going to be the final boss. But it's just, again, it's just these things that it's just, why do I care about the stone when you don't make it important enough? It's all about, I don't know, it's all about currently right now, Grayon and his army and his gold land. And Gigisto, he's nowhere to be found, and Gaelijah is finally making her move. And also, just to finish off too, even though I said this, but me. Hotaro was the spanner. Like, I wish Hotaro could have just stood up against Spanner in concern of, hey, this is my best friend's mind we're talking about. And Midoro Sensei already told us that it's already risky doing the thing multiple times. You want his memory wiped? It could be irreversible if Midoro Sensei were to do that. I wish Hotaro will defend his friend here, but instead it's got turned into, once again, pro Kemi and human versus anti Kemi and human, and how dangerous it is to, and yeah. Okay, that's all I'm going to say here. I'm sorry that this video is already long, but hey, I have lots to say about this episode, and the writing once again sucks, but at least it's not the Acolyte writing. At least it's not that horrible. Anyways, thank you so much for listening, guys. Give a like if you like it, and please subscribe. And I'll see you all on the other side of Oblivion. Johnny!